today I have a very special guest. This man has actually competed in quite a few combat sports styles, including Lethwei, MMA, bare knuckle boxing, and others, as well as King of the Streets, No Rules street fighting, which some of you watching this will be familiar with, some of you won't. So, a very, very special guest from the UK, where I am, to Thailand, where he is. Ladies and gentlemen, Kris Kirsch, who, as I've mentioned, fights no rules street fighting, king of the streets. He's done just about every type of combat sport out there, I think. So today we're going to be having a chat about his life, his career, and some of his toughest fights, and just everything about his life. So thank you for watching, and champ, I just want to say to you, obviously, big thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Appreciate being here. Appreciate you for inviting me.
Good stuff. All right then. So let's get into it. King of the streets. Just about the most brutal fight club out there, the most extreme style of fighting, I think, that you can do. So walk us through a little bit, first of all, how you got into it, like we were talking about just now before we started recording, how it happened and how you took the opportunity to fight there. Let's start there.
Yeah, so like normally I live in Thailand because it was almost my dream to be a fighter. And really the only way to do that is to move to a place like Thailand or America. America, unfortunately, the visa situation wasn't that good for me. So I opted for Thailand. It was a good decision. Everything is cheap. It's easy to get visas. Training was awesome. But when the corona hit, I was kind of in a bad spot because I was making my money from fighting, right? And obviously during the pandemic, there's no fights. It was so hard to get fights, right? I only fought, I think, 3 or 4 times during the pandemic. So I decided to go, like when it restarted here, they always kept it kind of in check, but when it restarted and there was curfews and like crazy rules, I started, I opted for going back to Europe for a bit to just work, to just make some money because I went through almost all my savings that I got from the military, which is a thing we can get later into. But I just decided to go home and work a little bit with my hands because I'm a dumb motherfucker. I never learned anything, right? Weld, paint, and whatnot. But I texted the promoter from King of the Street. I was like, because I watched it online. I was like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like, I kind of want to take part in it, right? Can't be that hard. I got a couple fights in. Fucking, let's just hit him up. And sure enough, he needed a late replacement, and I jumped in, and I got the victory. It was like amazing, really. And also, like when I got there, it was a surprise. I thought it's going to be like fucked up. It was kind of fucked up, but like the people were very welcoming. The fans, the fighters, everyone, very welcoming, very kind, very nice. So I was very like surprised by that. And my opponent as well. My opponent was cool as fuck. After the fight, we shook hands. We still talk every now and then on fucking Instagram. And overall, great experience.
Yeah. Incredible. It's good to hear how you got into it. And I've heard that from a few guys like who I've interviewed who fight there. The respect and everything like that is just, next level, which is good to hear as well. But let's go into it because obviously with like the rule set or the lack thereof, some people watching this will know all about King of the Streets and they'll be the diehard fans. But some people watching this, like we were saying earlier, it'll be the first time they've heard about it and they'll see this and they think, what the fuck is this? And I want to get into it, like you and me when we first heard about it, right? So for anyone that doesn't know, and if this is their first time, hearing about it, can you just explain to us a little bit about how it works, like when it takes place and how there's no rules and just the basic stuff like that, please?
So with King of the Street, it's basically it's street fighting, right? It's just like anything goes on concrete. In Brazil, they call it vale tudo, actually. Vale tudo just means everything goes in Portuguese. So there's been a long history of that actually in Brazil, and they still have events, and it's like a sport. They don't do it on concrete, I believe. They do it on mats, but still, it's the same thing. Vale tudo, everything goes, no rules. You can kick the guy in the balls. You can fucking pull his hair, scratch him. I guess you can do anything. King of the Street is the same, but I have to say, there's kind of a gentleman's agreement Like, you don't do weird shit to me, I don't do weird shit to you, right? So like, I'm not gonna gouge your eyes out. You're not gonna gouge my eyes out. I got the feeling there's a lot of that going on, which is fucking good because I don't want to get my fucking eye scratched out or my hair pulled or anything like that, you know. And I don't think like people want to see that too. But yeah, it's like just real raw dog fighting, you know, bare knuckle. You got a mouthpiece in, but that's about it. And you just go to town on concrete, and it's amazing, honestly. It's amazing. And what was the other question? What is King of the Street? And
Yeah, no, that's it for that part of it. Like just
that's
like I
it.
say,
Yeah.
just to give people a rule set for, how it works. Like, because like I say, with this, we'll have some questions for people who know all about it, but we'll have some questions like it's the first time they've heard about it, and we've got to make it fair to them, like if they don't know. So that's the reason for that question. But let's get into the fight itself, and just different aspects of it. I mean, when you were fighting, obviously you fought in all different styles, like I mentioned earlier, Lethway, MMA, BKB, Muay Thai as well, I think. So, you've done like a bit of all sorts of stuff. But this fight, what do you remember most about the fight, in terms of when you were in it and like how tough it was, how brutal? Obviously you got the win as well. So just share with us, it's not like a really specific question, but just, your memories of what the actual experience of the fight was like.
Um, it was great. The one thing I gotta say is there was a DJ there, right? And I thought they're gonna play music. They're gonna play like Eminem or something, but no music ever popped up, right? And I noticed like as soon as it got closer to fight starting, everybody got very nervous, which is normal, but they got like extra nervous. One kid in particular, he just like kind of lost it. He just fucking went berserk, and yeah, my heart rate went like crazy up. I was like doom doom doom. And after the fights, this guy Eric Olsen, he also fought in there, Blood Axe. He came up to me. He's got like a New York accent. He's like, "Hey, did you notice the fucking horror music in the background?" I was like, "What do you mean?" "Oh, they played the horror music in the background to like amp you up." And then I realized like, oh yeah, they kind of play like psychological music to like fuck with you to get like better fights, I guess. So that was like hilarious. Um, like finding that out later. But yeah, during the fight, we touched gloves or no gloves rather. We touched knuckles, and we went to town. And I remember Ismet. He's got a very awkward style, and he caught me off guard with a lot of stuff. Like he dropped his hands, and then he fucking jabbed me again and again and again. And my nose was all busted up and shit. And I was like, oh fuck! Like he's keep catching me with that because he got long ass arms, you know. And he's got a lot of fights too. He's got like 35 fights, I believe. So he's like experienced with that. And but sure enough, as soon as I got into the clinch, because I'm a very strong guy physically, and I'm very good clincher, and I'm good at throws. I threw him to the ground. I dragged him out a little bit, and I don't think his conditioning was the best. And eventually, I got the upper hand, and I hit him with low kicks. And late in the fight, when you get hit with like hard low kicks, it really sucks, right? So I think that kind of got the loss out of them. Um, I think I hit him with a low kick, and like he had a problem with his knee, and he said like break. He said like break. I was like, and for a minute, for like a second, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, break. I was like, wait a second, this is a fucking no rules fight. And I went at it, and I think I threw him against the fence. I grabbed the fence and kneed him against the face, and like slapped him, and then they pulled me off, and I got the win. But I gotta say, I think uh, other than the ground exchanges, honestly, he was winning the fight until that point. But like I said, I outconditioned him, I low kicked him, and that got me the win. And yeah, that was the fight.
Incredible. Yeah, it's really good to get an insight into the fight itself and what went down there. And man, because it looked absolutely crazy. So it's good to hear obviously your experiences. Also, when you're there though, I want to get into like a couple more things about King of the Streets, then we'll talk about some of your other stuff, like a lot of your other fights. But with King of the Streets, like with the crowd and like the atmosphere in there, and you said about this horror music, and a lot of the guys, like when I spoke to Brian Hoy, when I spoke to Franco, they mentioned like the intense atmosphere and like like it's got that feeling to it. But when you're fighting, what is the crowd like, in terms of like the energy and like the like the vibe of the place, if you get where I'm going with that. So, like what's that like?
Um, so personally for me during my fight, like I think I'm very lucky with that. I don't focus on about anything else. I only focus about the fight. I don't care who's around me, where I am. I just focus around the fight. I think I got quite a good focus, probably from my time in the military where I was a sniper, so it can blend out all the noise. Um, After the fight, I watched some, and it was like I can feel it. Like it's different. These guys are wearing ski masks. They're wearing like bandanas because of Corona, of course. That's why I'm wearing that, right? Uh, and yeah, they're just yelling and like they're shouting at each other. And there was some shoving going on in the crowd as well. I don't know what that was all about. Um, yeah, atmosphere is definitely intense. Like a lot of these guys are hooligans and other extraordinary people. It's not normal fans. It's not normal people. So you absolutely get a different vibe. And honestly, it was great to see. Really great to see. And yeah, very different. Very different. Absolutely. I can only confirm that.
Yeah, incredible. And in terms of like fighting for them again, now I know you're back in Thailand now and things like that, so it might be a bit tricky and it might be like a little while. But if you were back in Europe at any point and a fight came up, would you compete for them again? Can we expect to see you back in there?
Absolutely, because they were cool as fuck to me. So like, I feel like I'm kind of obliged to fight again. They offered me a fight. Not gonna lie, against Liam. What's English Wolf? English Wolf, but he's good as fuck. I'd have to prepare for that. He's really good. I watched him on the pads and everything. I was like, I can't take this fight without the proper camp. You know, I'm I'm wild. I do wild shit, but I'm not retarded. I'm not going in there unprepared, right? Um, so let's see about that. But I would absolutely fight for him again. Not to fight like anyone specific, but fight anyone, because it was fun. I got treated well. They're cool as fuck, although they're kind of scary. I'm not a fucking gangster or anything like that. But they're kind of scary, bro. Uh, and yeah, no, absolutely, I'll do it again.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, it's really good to get an insight into that King of the Streets, guys. Pretty much the most brutal out there. No rules at all. It's an amazing promotion. So good. All right then. Now, obviously, in your life, you've done a lot of other different types of fighting as well.
Yeah,
Outside of King of the Streets and anything else that's very extreme. You've pretty much done it, and you've pretty much competed in everything. So obviously we walked through that in the beginning. Let's go back in time a little bit to like when you first started fighting, because I know we started with King of the Streets. People love hearing about it. For you and your fighting journey, if we go sort of back in time a little bit to when you first started competing, was it like when you were in the military or after, or was it like before that? Just take us back to when it started for you, when you first wanted to compete.
so I started competing in amateur boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was like 13, 14, because I just loved it. I watched like boxing, the UFC, everything like that, and I was just like, I was a teenager, I was hyped by it, so I started training. I really like like I was like obsessed with training, right? I didn't give a fuck about school. I fuck with like all I care about is training and fighting and whatnot. And but at the time, like it was kind of hard as a kid to get fights. It's not big fights, but I still love training. So I had a fight here and there, amateur boxing, this and that, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournaments. But I was also very poor and I couldn't afford to like travel and whatnot. So I didn't compete that much. I competed probably around a dozen times in my teenage years. But I love it. I just loved it so much. And I really wish I could have done more. That's the dead mosquito right there. Um, and I wish I really could have done more. But when I turned 18, I kind of had trouble at home. right? I finished school and I traveled with my mom because I wanted to be a fighter, right? Because that's my dream. I want to be a fighter. But she didn't like that, and we like fought and whatnot. Like she said, like get an apprenticeship, go to universities. Like who the fuck wants to do that, you know? So I joined the military when I was like 18 because really I had nowhere to go and I was in financial struggle and whatnot. And there I had to tone down the training a little bit. I couldn't compete either. I still trained, but only like once or twice a week. Whereas before I would train like I would skip school and like take the train 2 hours to go to a gym that had morning classes. You know, I would just stuff like that all the time. And in the military, I had to focus more on lifting, running, and I could only like train martial arts once or twice a week because like it's very gruesome schedule in the military, especially in the unit I was in. I went on deployment, came back 6 months, had a bunch of cash, and I finally had the opportunity to make my dream come true. Right, my plan was to go to America or Thailand because those are the two places where you can make money with fighting and live off of fighting. And I opted for Thailand because the visa options were easier. It was easier to obtain visas. America's kind of pain in the ass, and I didn't want to overstay my visa and risk fucking with that, you know. So I opted for Thailand. And it was a great decision. I had my first pro Muay Thai fight a month after I landed in January of 2019. I had my first pro fight, right? So it's not that long ago. And I won by a KO in the first round. And from then on, it's history, you know?
Yeah. Incredible. So we'll get into the fights a little bit more now as well, because obviously looking at it, that I didn't know it was as recent as that. So you packed a lot in to like a short space of time, you know. So we'll definitely get into that. But like with the military as well, just to touch on that briefly before we get back into the fights. I don't know how much like you can say about it, but in terms of like where you were stationed, and what life is like as a sniper, which I've met a few guys before who've done that and they've told stories, and I don't know how much you can say about it here, but anything you can share about it, I think people would be really interested to hear more about military life and what that life is like. There'll be people watching this who've served and everything, but for people who haven't and they don't know what it's like, can you just walk us through like where you were, what you were doing, and just anything you'd like to say about that, really, about your time in the military?
Of course. So I joined when I was 18. Went through basic boot camp, which was like very easy, right? Just 3 months basic training, and then I got stationed to an infantry unit, which is like a specialized infantry unit. I don't. It's like there's like a German word for it, and honestly, I don't know the English equivalent for it. But it was pretty cool. They did cool shit, you know? And their main thing was to deploy to war zones, like to Afghanistan, to Africa, right? So I really wanted to do that because honestly, my entire life I always wanted to be a soldier as well. It was one of my goals, right? So I was stoked to be in there to training. The combat ready training was 6 months and it was quite grueling. It was like psychological. It was like all kinds of shit. It was like psychological terror, fucking sleep deprivation, everything you can imagine. What you see in the movies, you do push-ups at 3 a.m. and they put like a hose in your face and yell at you that you're a piece of shit. All that. I went through all that, and I believe the combat ready course started with like 60 people, and we ended up with 18. So 42 people quit on the way or got injured and whatnot. So I was quite proud to have finished that. And because I did very well, they sent me into sniper school with 3 other guys. Like the best guys got the coolest specialization, which was sniper school, right? And we ended up as, I have to clarify that, it was not a sniper. It was a designated marksman rifle, a DMR, which is a platoon sniper. We go basically through the same training as regular snipers, but we report to a lieutenant, to a platoon commander, not the captain, the company commander. But in the German army anyway, they get the same training, and it's basically the same shit, but you get your commands from a different rank. Then we prepared for the deployment for around a year, and we went to Africa and went on a combat deployment. At first, I was just a regular trooper. We were like patrolling the camp and whatnot. If there was a mortar attack, we would go out and look for the perpetrators, stuff like that. We would work together with the drone. And we don't have the Predator. We got like a European version of the Predator, but we would work with that, do long-term patrols. And I saw some action here and there, but nothing major. It was more like skirmishes. But then for a month, I got deployed to the Air Mobile Protection Unit. So we did like a week of special training with the helicopters. And then I went into the Air Mobile Protection Team, which job it is to secure medevac. So the helicopter lands, the Air Mobile Protection Team goes out, does like a perimeter of security. The medics get the wounded in, or the dead, or whatever, or like the missing person. We get in, we go out, right? And that's where I probably saw like the most action. I don't want to go into detail too much, but some gnarly shit, right? And then I got assigned back to regular regular patrols. Was back to normal, sleeping in the dirt, going on patrol and whatnot. It was great, honestly, because like there's a lot of very good people in there in the military, and like you have so much fun with them. And it's guys your age, and they goof around, and great humor, and like a lot of great stories. And at the time, for me, good money too. I was 19, 20, and you get paid, I think, 110 euros a day just to be in Africa because of the danger and whatnot. So it was great. And sure enough, I got an honorable discharge. I got some medals, and I was on my way to Thailand to pursue my career as a fighter.
Incredible. That is an amazing story, champ. I've got to give it to you. A big respect on that as well. Some really good accomplishments there on all counts. So that's brilliant. Obviously, getting back into the fighting side of it as well, because it's good to give you your military a mention because people would love to hear about it. But now we get full, headlong into the fighting side of it. So earlier on, we got to the point where you'd won your first Muay Thai, kickboxing fight, first round knockout. You're just telling us about that. So obviously, when I was researching this and looking into it, you've had a lot of fights. So you've packed a lot in over the past couple of years. Like I was saying earlier, which is super cool. So with that in mind, can you sort of just break down for us, for anyone that doesn't know, some of the styles you've competed in? Because like I mentioned at the beginning, when I was researching this, there's MMA in there, there's left way in there, there's bare knuckle boxing. You've done like a bit of everything. And you've got a lot in, over like only a couple of years. So after that first Muay Thai kickboxing fight, you knocked the guy out, and you were obviously, that was the start of your dream, which is awesome. What happened from there? What did you fight in next, and how did it sort of progress from that point? If you get what I mean.
Yes. So after that fight, so the fight was like on the local scene in Chiang Mai, which is northern Thailand, which is a very relaxed city, very nice city. It was on the local scene, and I kept fighting on the local scene a lot because it was so easy. You just call up the promoter, can I fight? Yep, 2 weeks, you got to fight. You fight this guy, he's a southpaw, whatever. I took a lot of fights like that, because just like I said, it was so easy. I fought, and then every now and then, like, a opportunity arises to fight in some like bigger shows in exclamation marks. Meaning it was like in a rice field in the middle of fucking nowhere for some fucking police colonel, right? So I got some fights like that, and too. One in particular where we went to the northern province of Payao, where my Thai trainer got me on his motorcycle with fucking 40 horsepower, going through the mountains of northern Thailand, and he's high as fuck. And we drive into my fight, and I knocked the guy out in 30 seconds. I see him drink the piss, fucking get drunk, get even more high. We drive back, gets stopped by police in the middle of the mountain. He talks to him in like Thai. That's what, I don't know what he's saying, right? And I guess they want to like search him for drugs, which he had, right? He had like weed and fucking I don't know what else. This guy's pretty crazy, right? But he talked to him. He's like, "Oh, this guy just fought." And they really, he just fought. And they were like cool about it. They let us like sit next to him at the fire because northern Thailand in the mountains get hot. It gets cold as well, right? So we were just like freezing our ass off at the fire. My trainer's high as fuck, drunk as fuck, right? Like I'm a little bit banged up from the fight. We just sit there with these police officers, just like having a go all the time. And we, sure enough, we got back on our bikes and went back to Chiang Mai, all in one go. So that was another little story. Yeah, I fought on Max Muay Thai in Pattaya twice, which is a pretty big show. First one, I fought this big ass American guy. It was a crazy fight. You can watch it on YouTube. It was fun as fuck. The second one, I fought the champion, Jaipech Sichopo, and he's really fucking good, man. He just beat my ass. You can watch that on YouTube as well. I didn't have a chance, and then I kind of realized like there's levels to this shit, you know. Fighting on the local scene is one thing, and then fighting guys like that, you need to amp up your training. You need to like do stuff other people don't do. You need to wake up at 4 a.m. and fucking run and lift and fuck, like be a psycho, you know. Because that guy, so he has 3 brothers, right? And his parents said, "You're either gonna be a fighter or a ladyboy, because you gotta make some money." And his 3 brothers became ladyboys, and he became the fighter. And he said in an interview once, he said, "I wish I'd become a ladyboy because it's easier." And yeah, that's that guy's reality, you know. So you gotta beat him to it. So you gotta fucking train harder, be smarter, all that. So I did that. Then the pandemic hit. My gym was in kind of bad situation where I was living at, by the way. I was like sleeping on the floor. Team Quest Thailand, by the way, in Chiang Mai. They're still around, but not open at the moment because of COVID. I was sleeping on the ground there, and they were in a bad situation. All the fighters left. The only ones who were left were my really good friend Colt and me. And we were kind of going to other gyms as well to get in training partners, to get in other coaches' perspective and whatnot. And I got a couple fights. I got the legweight fight there, and I did really well. Although I had like a crazy food poisoning the night before, like the craziest in my life. I threw up and I fucking like, oh, it was disgusting. And I didn't eat for 3 days. The weight limit was like 75 kilos, but I weighed like 72, like at the fight. But I won somehow. I don't know how I did it. I broke my hand too, and I won. My shin split open, and I won. So there's a whole other crazy story. But I did that. Then like 2020 came around, and I got the opportunity to come into a new gym. It's called Marok Gym in Bangkok, and it's fucking awesome. It's everything I ever wished for. This guy who owns it, he's a fucking saint. He knows how bad but fighters get treated in Thailand because they got to fight when they're like 6 years old to provide for their family. Like I said, like I told you about Jai Pech, be a ladyboy or be a fighter to provide for the family, right? They get treated like pieces of poop, right? And he generally wants to change that and make everything a better place. Like this guy doesn't only work on that. So that's one of his projects. The other project is to cure cancer. That's other project. So this guy generally is like a good person and wants to make the world better. And he takes care of his fighters. He gave us an amazing gym, accommodation. He gives us food. Fuck, we even get like pocket money. We get a little pocket money so we can spend it on whatever sweets or whatnot. And like they treat us great. They give us visas, work permits, everything. They do everything legit. And dude, I couldn't be happier. I'm here right now. I'm staying at the gym. Dude, I can show it to you if you want. Fuck, I couldn't be happier. You know. Now I'm here. I had a bare knuckle boxing fight here, which I won. I had an MMA fight here, which I won. Fuck yeah. Great team, great fucking gym, everything great. Couldn't be more grateful. Yeah,
Amazing.
that's my situation right now.
Yeah. It's an amazing story though as well. You know, like you competed in all these different styles. You know, MMA, bare knuckle boxing, that way, Muay Thai. I mean, everything. And you know, it's a really good story as well. Like you say, go with the flow, and you know, these opportunities open up. And that's really good as well about changing. You know, about that guy changing the way fighters are treated because I've heard that from so many people. You know, come to Thailand. I've interviewed a bunch of guys. I know a bunch of guys who've gone there for kickboxing or different things, and it'd be really good to yeah to change that. So obviously you've done a lot and you've packed in a lot. I mean, what is it, about 30 fights that you've had, or is it more than that? How many fights have you had altogether?
I think it's 31 or 32.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. Something like that. But
Mm,
yeah, stacked up in a very very fast, you know. And it
yeah,
would have been even more if it wasn't for this fucking gay ass virus, you know.
yeah, yeah. That's fucked up. So much stuff, man. The virus, but oh, that's
Right.
another story. All right, cool. So then, obviously, looking now to the future as well, because obviously, you know, you've accomplished quite a bit so far, and obviously, you've competed in the toughest sport. Because I mean, obviously, King of the Streets is insane with no rules. You know, left way, obviously, with you know, pretty much bare knuckle. I mean, I know there's a bit of rap, but it's pretty much, and obviously the headbutts and you know all the crazy stuff with that, and you know, and obviously Muay Thai. I mean, that's brutal. You know, knees, elbows, everything you can do in there. So you've competed in like the toughest sports. Obviously, bare knuckle is tough. MMA is very tough, you know, with all the different stuff you can do in there. So, looking at the future now, is there one style of fighting you want to focus on more, or you know, do you want to continue to do like a mix of stuff, or like what's your aim, you know, going forward, like go like from here type of thing?
Yeah. So there's two sports I want to pursue, because you can't do everything at the same time, right? But I believe you can do two, and these are bare knuckle boxing and MMA. Because although I'm mostly known for striking, I love grappling. I've been grappling for fucking ever. I was on the judo Olympic team when I was like 16. I wrestled for a while. Not that good at wrestling, but I still wrestle. And I've been doing jiu-jitsu for fucking ever, and I fell in love with jiu-jitsu, and I love grappling as well, right? So I want to do MMA for sure because there's more money in it as well. It's exciting, it's awesome. I love MMA, right? But also I want to pursue bare knuckle boxing because I love boxing, but these days boxing is in a weird spot, with Jake Paul and all these weird fights, and there's still great guys like Lomachenko and whatnot, but boxing is in kind of a pickle, you know. Also, I don't think I can catch up to these guys. Like some of these guys are so good. I'm only 24, but I'm too old to catch up. They're so good, man. This is like Canelo. Like these guys are fucking like incredible. They've been working through this their entire life, and now they're on the top of their game. And I don't think I can ever be like, unless a miracle happens. I don't think, honestly, realistically, I can be a world champion in boxing. Bare knuckle boxing, on the other hand, very new, very exciting. Um, they just had an event here in Pattaya in Thailand, where which I attended. I didn't fight, because I just came back like 3 days ago to Thailand. Um, and the thing is growing. It's like one of the fastest growing sports in the world next to MMA. And it's very exciting. It's just like boxing, just a little bit more brutal. And there's a little bit more small stuff that is different. And it's just new enough that I think I can be a champion. Like for example, Liam did this weekend. He fucking won the title. Congratulations to that. He's an awesome dude, by the way. Again, there's the love for the King of the Street. Like all the guys fucking they cool each other, you know. And yeah, I think MMA. Honestly, I want to be in the UFC. I want to like do as best as I can possibly, and I think I can achieve it absolutely. I work hard every fucking day. I wake up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. to do shit, you know, to fucking work out and whatnot. I think I can do it. I have awesome coaches here. Like, absolutely, I think I can do it. I just need some time for MMA, you know? Bare knuckle boxing, same thing. I think I can do it. Just need a little bit of time, you know? And yeah, that's what it is.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Well, you know, champ, I mean, that's a really good insight into, you know, your life and career so far. And, you know, I'm one of those people, I believe the best is yet to come. for yourself, you know, and I'm not just saying that, but obviously, you know, seeing like even on Instagram or whatever, you know, you can see the work that you put in, and obviously, you know, what you put in, you get back at the end of the day. So obviously, that's bound to reap some big rewards. I know you've accomplished a lot already, but there's a lot more to come. So I'd say to all the fans and any other fighters and anyone watching this, everyone give this man a follow. He's on Instagram, he's on social media, and he's going to be doing some very, very big things. So definitely give him a follow. But champ, you know, I just want to say, obviously, you know, a big thank you for you hopping on this, like on my show, because obviously I know it's like late in your evening and it's afternoon here, but it's like it's late in your evening. So I do appreciate you making the time for it, and definitely appreciate you sharing everything that you shared. And I'm definitely excited to see you fight some more, and you know, to see you win titles. 110%. I believe that will happen. So yeah, so a big thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe to the Simply Inspired YouTube channel, and there'll be more videos coming soon.